What's going on, everybody? Welcome to All the Smoke with your boy 6ix9ine. This is my very first inaugural video for All the Smoke. So we're gonna start it off today talking about relationships. And I want to bring in a good friend of mine and partner. Her name is Nisi. And we are gonna be talking about relationships and things like that. Say hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
All right, all right. Now I've known this young lady for a long time. Oh, how long has it been?
At least 16, 17 years
16,
minimum.
17 years. Yeah, and we got some stories, but we ain't gonna go into everything, but we will relate a lot of what we talking about um, to a lot of our own personal experiences. So we're gonna talk about relationships. Now, you don't have to give your age. I'm gonna give my age. I'm 54
I'm
and
46.
46. All right. And as we get older, it seems to get harder and harder to date. So you're gonna hear it from a male's point of view, and you're gonna hear it from a female's point of view. So let's start with you, Nisi. Let's talk about some of let's talk about a recent experience that you had. So give us a recent experience that you had, and you don't have to go into a long, long story. Just a recent experience that you had, and then we'll discuss that experience.
So I would say the most recent experience I had just doing this online dating thing,
Mm,
it's a lot. Sometimes it's hit or miss. I went out with a gentleman, a couple years younger than me, not so young that we shouldn't be thinking the same in terms of relationships. And
okay.
um, our our conversation prior to meeting in person was very casual, very light. And when we got there, I said, I never asked you, do you have children? He
Mm,
said, yes. I said, how old? Because at this age, what I don't want is babies.
okay.
So he says, after thinking about it, he says 16, 14. So in my mind, at 14, I'm already shut down. 9 and 7.
Mm, wow.
I said, how often do you see them? Well, the three oldest ones live with their mothers. I don't have a relationship with them. But the 7-year-old lives with me.
Mm.
Do you have a support system? No. Well, where is he now? At home alone?
So he left a 7-year-old at home by himself to go out with you.
Not even that. He left the
Oh,
7-year-old at home to go to work. I was his lunch date.
oh,
So he was at work and left to come see me, but left the 7-year-old home to go to his job as a barber. So what that
wow.
brought to me was you're 42 years old. I'm thinking that we should kind of be in the same place in life.
Mhm.
You have a 7-year-old and he's a widow. Mother died during childbirth. You guys will like that's very, very much so a soft spot for me.
Okay.
But I still don't want kids. So very much a soft spot for me. But you're also underemployed. You're a barber without your own clientele. You work a part-time security job and you're getting financial assistance from the state, which is fine, all and well.
Okay.
But why are you dating? You don't even have a babysitter.
Wow. Yeah.
So what I got from that was is he was really just looking for a mother. And he said it like, why are you dating? He was like, well, I've been in relationships and my son really likes when there's two of us.
Okay. So it's interesting that you say that because a lot of conversation that we hear nowadays is how men don't want to date women with kids and especially high value men. But we're not going to go into the high value part of the subject just yet. But I'm gonna use myself as an example, right? I don't mind dating a woman with kids, but they got to be grown and gone, right? I don't have any kids, right? Like I said, I'm 54 years old. I don't have. I'm ready to travel. I'm ready to uh, just spend time with my lady, right? So it seems like a lot of on the man side, a lot of women get mad because or upset or don't like the fact that there is a lot of men out there that don't want to date women with younger kids because they may have had kids, just like you said, they may have kids. They pass that, having to get a babysitter or can't get out because they can't get a babysitter. That's me. I don't want to date nobody that is like, I need to get a babysitter, and then they can't get one, and we done made plans. Now we got to cancel our plans because they got to get a babysitter.
Right. So for me, I'm on that same side. It looks like, people say, well, with men it's different because they don't typically live with them. But if we can't do something one weekend because that's your weekend with your children, then that's still a problem for me. Call me
Right.
selfish. I am 46 years old. My children are 30 and 21. I'm
Yeah.
not, my grandchildren are single digit ages. And that is what that situation was to me. I'm not looking to mother anyone's children. I have access to children.
Right. And see, you're an exception, and you're an exception. And now going into the high value part, this is one of the things that, and you and I have talked about Kevin Samuels before. This is one of the things that Kevin Samuels talked about. Now, he always talked about high value men making over six figures, 6 feet tall, six pack, what a lot of these young ladies say that they want. These men, when they're making that type of money, right, they're the top 13, 14% of men. When you get to African American men, it's that that $100,000 or that six-figure income drops to 3 to 4%. So it's not a lot of African American men that make that money. So when you have a majority of women chasing that small percentage of men, those men got choices.
Lots of choices.
They got lots of choices. So the thing that Kevin Samuels used to say is, why would a man making that much money choose somebody with 2 or 3 kids? He doesn't have any, when he can go get someone that's younger and start building his own family with that individual. So I think part of the dating thing is, and I've ran into this, where women expect you to take care of them and their kids, and those are not your kids. Now you have to understand, if you date a woman with kids, that's a package deal. Men got to understand that. So if you choose to do that, you have to understand that they're a package deal. But you I've seen some things where, for instance, I went on a date and she told me she had kids. I was okay with that. Her kids was 13, 14, which is still, to me, like, I don't really want to deal with that. But then I said, these kids are old enough to stay home by themselves, right? They can take care of themselves. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this out. And took her out. We ate. I paid for it. But she wanted me to buy food for her kids to take home. Is that my responsibility?
So it's not your responsibility, but
At this point, we just started
in
dating. First date.
first date. So first date, you haven't met the kids. You're not invested in her.
No.
You're not invested in her. So I'll make women mad. Take care of your own kids.
Oh,
Where are their fathers? You
thank
should
you.
tell their fathers to Uber Eats them some food while you went on your date, because it's not this man's responsibility to take care of your children. Is it
Exactly.
nice? Yes. Is it
Exactly.
nice if he offers? There are men that will offer.
Yes. Yep.
But if he doesn't offer, it's not his responsibility.
Exactly.
So that's about a level of maturity, though.
Mhm.
If you are dating, you need to be clear about your expectations and your intentions. And this just feeds into the theory that women are only going on dates to get meals. If
And
you're
that's a lot of that happening.
if you're only going on dates for meals, be straight up. Hey, me and my kids need this XYZ. Better yet, ask for groceries. I don't want to go on a date, but you can get me and my kids some groceries. Like, be
But you
real.
talking down the road though, right? Once you
No,
invested some
like,
time with.
be real. Be real. Like,
Oh,
just be
okay. I see what
honest
you're
about
saying.
your intentions.
Yeah.
Just
And
be
see,
honest
most
about
men are
your
not
intentions.
going to do that, and now, like I said, if they understand that you're a package deal, they are going to want to get to know you first, right? And you gave me one of your dating scenarios, so I'm gonna give you one of mine. And I met a young lady when I still lived in Georgia. She was in Alabama, and she had a young son who was autistic. Now, when I first met her, I had to drive an hour and a half to go see her, or she would come see me sometimes. To me, I hadn't seen her enough to be able to go out there to her house, and her son is there. And because she asked me to come out, I'm like, wait a minute, wouldn't she? I said, ain't your son gonna be there? And she said, yeah. I said, ain't it too soon for me to be meeting her son? And she didn't care. And I thought it was a little crazy for the man to be more concerned about how soon I meet her kid than she was.
But
So I love your opinion on that.
that's not your concern. If that's what she chooses to do, that's her business. That's not your concern.
But do you think that only after knowing someone a week or 2 weeks, is that too fast?
Different strokes for different folks. No one ever met my kids, but as I've gotten older and my children are adults, yeah, you can meet the first day we go out because they're adults and they're responsible for themselves.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, I can
Yeah. So
understand that if they grown.
from my perspective, it's a little different because my children are adults. But when they
Mhm,
were younger, I was with my son's father. Or when
mhm.
I did start to date someone else, it was gradual. It wasn't like immediate. Or for instance, one of the people that I dated was just somebody that was from our neighborhood. So they already knew this person.
Right. Okay.
So um we were mindful about our interactions in front of them, but they already knew him. Or like my son's father, like my daughter obviously already knew him. So we weren't really thinking about how long it had been before someone met. Um,
Right.
I think a lot of women, so for me, that's like a double-edged sword. I don't believe that a woman should stop her life because she has children, so she shouldn't date. But I do believe that you should be mindful about who you're exposing your children to. But that also goes into, are you dating with intention or are you just dating to get a free meal? If you're
Right.
dating for a free meal, nobody should be meeting your children. But if you're dating with intention, then does the time really matter? For instance, I will say this, I'm about to put my daughter's business on blast. She met a man, and after 2 weeks, he was taking care of her and the kids. They're about to
Mm.
have their own baby, already about to get married. Like, there are men that do it and they are both extremely happy, and I love that for them. And there was no time limit on how long before you can meet the kids. He stepped up and recognized that she was a package deal with those children.
And see, that's what I was saying. If they've had that communication and he understands that, that's great. But unfortunately, you have a lot of individuals out here who would call him a simp. I'm like, why was this man a simp? If they sat down and they had a mature conversation and he understands that this lady or this woman is a package deal, then there's no simping to it. So I would like to see some comments in the comments below from you guys that are viewing this, and get your opinion. So we'll kind of move on a little bit. But actually, no, I want to step back a little bit because one of the things that like Kevin Samuels used to say is date within your means, right? You can't be someone. He always used a rating scale, right? He always say rate yourself from 1 to 10, but you can't use 7. And I understood why he said you can't use 7, because most women gonna say 7,
No,
right?
most women are going to say 10 because
Most say
most
10,
they are tens.
but he was brutally honest. He would tell them if they were really pretty, and he would tell them if they were not. And I think there was one video that I saw where it was this kind of chubby girl, and she called herself settling for someone that don't have any money. When she was a big girl, she really wasn't cute. She wasn't cute at all. She wasn't pretty at all. And he said the exact same thing. He said, "Why would a man making 6 figures that can pretty much got the pick of the litter choose someone like you that's a 5? Why would he choose that?" So I think a lot of times in the dating world, even at our age, because it gets harder. I think the expectations that people have of themselves is part of the problem also, because you got people out here thinking they tens, male or female, and they not. And
Yeah.
they not dating within their range. And they want somebody making $100,000, or a guy may be big with a belly, not that cute, and he wants somebody that look like Beyonce.
Correct. So there are very few things that Kevin Samuel said that I actually agree with, but that is one of them.
Mhm.
Date on your level. But first you need to be honest about what your level is. So, and I don't
Right.
like the term high value or low value. Like, I don't like those terms because that rates us like cattle going to farm, going to the meat market. But at the same time, you know what your level is. Date
But to me,
someone.
high value, I mean to interrupt, but to me, high value, when they say high value, I don't like the term either, because when they say a high value man, they're basing it on money. They're not
And there's
basing
so
it on
many.
how that individual is going to treat you. Is he going to treat you like a woman? It's based on money. To me, value should be based on how that individual is going to treat you.
Correct. Correct. But when we're talking about women that are seeking hypergamous relationships, that's really all they're looking for. They're only looking for the provider portion of it. And one of the big things for me in dating is I would love to have a provider.
Mhm.
I would love to. And and first of all, let's circle back. $100,000 is nothing anywhere. So if you think that making $100,000 is a lot of money, you need to revisit some things just to begin with, because it's not.
Exactly.
But that's that. I digress. But if you are looking for someone and you're dating with intention, you should be looking at more than just their pockets. You should be looking at their relationships with other people, how they treat service workers. There's so many other things that you should be looking at. And then let's take a good look at yourself. Look in the mirror. Can you pull a Beyonce?
Mhm.
Can I pull an Idris Elba? Can I? Can I? You know, I'm outside of the range that, the late Kevin Samuels would say would even quantify me as a high value woman.
Right.
But I have intrinsic value. So there's no number system that's going to value me. But at the
It's
same
not,
time,
I agree with you there, because I don't con you know, I wanna make, yes, I wanna make enough money to take care of my lady, and if I have a family, take care of my family. I wanna make enough money to do that. But I think a lot of people, or especially women, don't understand is the average income in the United States of America is, for a single male, this is not, no race, just single male, is $56,000 a year. The average income for a black single male is about $45,000 a year.
oh,
So that's why you say they're chasing after this 1% of man that everybody's chasing after of, and then when they say ain't no good men out here, all we out here is just not the ones you want that are
correct.
out, So
Same goes for
that is
women. The men saying there are no good women. No, you're just not choosing the good women.
exactly. It goes both ways. It
It
goes
does.
both ways. So I agree with you there. And my thing is, they don't pay attention and understand that the average rent in the United States today is 1,700 something dollars. The
And that's
average
just
car
two
note,
bedrooms.
the average car note is $700. The average amount of food a single person spend on themselves a month is $500.
And
That's already
it's even more than that if you eat like I do, gluten-free, organic, free range, like farm fresh. If you're
yeah,
eating like that, I can spend $350 in one grocery trip for 1 week.
exactly. So that average, is just based on the numbers on how people shop.
Mhm.
So it's just giving that $500 average. So they don't think like that. They don't think that this is the average cost of something. So I've run into the 50-50 thing in the dating scene also, right? Now, if I'm making let me put it this way. Because a lot of the things that Cami Samuels, the women that who call Cami Samuels used to say, they want to be taken care of. They don't want to work, right? They want to stay home, take care of the kid. So he would just tell them, he said, are you willing to deal with a man who's working 16, 17 hours a day? He's probably going to have some women on the side. Are you willing to deal with that? Some of them said yes. Some of
But
them
why
said
is it
yes, they
okay
would be
for him
willing
to
to deal with that
but why is it okay for him to have a woman on the side?
because of the money. He's
Yeah,
just being honest. He said a lot of men that are making that type of money because they have so many options, some of those men are probably going to take up some of those options.
well,
Are you willing to deal with that?
listen. The fact of the matter is those men that make 45,000 have women on the side as well. But what we need to talk about in this particular scenario is if it's not a discussion, if she's agreeing to that, then that's fine. But if we're not having a discussion about whether or not this relationship is open, it shouldn't be an expectation. That's
Right,
just it. That's just it. It
right,
shouldn't be an expectation whether you make 45,000 or 450,000.
right. And now my thing is, a lot of men talk about 50-50, right? So a lot of things that I've seen, especially in some other podcasts and things like that, women say, I'm not doing 50-50, right? If I'm staying at home and I'm taking care of this, and that, that's okay. If you're willing to stay at home, if he making $45,000 a year, if you're willing to be okay within that lifestyle, cool, right? If he only making $45,000 a year and you want to stay home, take care of kids, and you don't want to work, you have to understand what only $45,000 a year is, what your lifestyle is going to be like.
Correct. There's
But you
not a lot
can't.
of eating
You,
out. There's not a lot of family trips. But I don't think that any couple that has a good grasp on finances would
mhm.
choose to have a single income household at 45,000, with the exception of them having a multitude of children that are daycare age.
Yeah,
It doesn't even make sense. Now, the only way that it makes sense to live off of one income at 45,000 if they have 3 to 4 kids that are in daycare. I have a client now that just said she was looking at daycares. It's $2,500 a month, and it's a
wow.
$5,000 retainer. She has one child.
So with that being said, all these I'm not going 50-50 women, right? With the average income for a single black male being $45,000, and these $100,000 men that's making a lot more money. First of all, they need to let me. First of all, they need to understand that anybody making $100,000 and over is in a different tax bracket. He's already taxed 20%, so he's really only getting 80,000. They need to
Then after you talk
understand
about healthcare
that.
and deductions and all of that, like I did a real analysis of my take home, and I was sad. I was sad because I'm literally only getting about 45% of my gross
Yeah,
after taxes, and again, because you kind of cross over, and that
right.
tax bracket doesn't change only at 100,000. It actually starts at about 75,000,
Mhm.
and depending on what your situation is, it can start a little different, little earlier than that. So when we talk about that, when women are saying they're not going to go 50-50, what they're saying is I'm not going 50-50 with you financially, and I still will have 100% of this job. I have 100% of raising these kids. I have 100% of taking care of this household. I have 100% of cooking these dinners, grocery shopping, running errands. That's what women are not going 50-50 on. It's not about the money. It's the fact that we don't have partners. We have a man that's saying,
Right.
I'm the head, I'm the leader. And the only thing you're leading is 50% of your income. You're
And
not
I
being a
agree
leader
with
to our
you.
children.
I agree with you. That's what a lot of men need to understand. If you want your lady to stay home, right? And well, I'll put it this way. If you want your lady to be 50-50 and she's working, then it needs to be 50-50 across the board. I agree with that. They need to help with the
50-50
the
everywhere.
house. They need to help with the kids. If you got kids, they need to help with everything, right?
Everything.
It's
You
supposed to
want
be a
50-50?
partnership.
You want
But
50-50? You
if
be
she wants
everywhere.
to stay home and not work, then yeah. And you have that
See,
traditional,
See,
so-called traditional relationship.
see, but where has that gotten us? Because we still need our fathers to show up for their children.
Well, yeah, you definitely still have to be a part of your kid's life. See, a lot of men don't
That's not
understand,
happening.
and this is a big problem in the dating pool, is that they don't understand that you just can't go to work, come home, eat, knock your wife up every once in a while, and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Even if
So,
she is, even if you are paying all the bills, you still have to be an active participant in your kid's family.
in your
So in the
life.
dating pool, for me, and this is where I think a lot of people go wrong in the dating pool, is they don't ask enough questions, right? They don't
Mhm.
you get caught up in this honeymoon phase, you're attracted to each other, there's a sexual attraction, um, you're having fun, you're going out, you're doing all these little things together, so you get caught up in that honeymoon phase, and you're not asking questions like, "Were you in a two-parent household family? What did your
Ah,
mother teach you to how to be a wife? What did your father teach you about how to choose the right man or what is a good man?" See, people don't ask those questions. Or what is your what is your definition of financial responsibility? How
correct.
much do you think you should save a year?
So you and I had this conversation, and I actually went on a date after we had the conversation about that particular question. What did you learn from your parents? And I
Oh,
actually,
so you asked them.
I
Okay.
did.
I
I
told you I
asked
told you to
him,
ask them.
and I did ask him.
All
So,
right.
everything's going great. He's checking all the boxes, still checking all the boxes. So I asked him, so he was raised in a single parent home.
Mhm.
His parents were divorced when he was about 3 years old. Um, his mother, I'll go back to his mother. I asked what his relationship was like with his father. He said, well, he died when I was 13. So while I was a part of his, like, he was a part of my life and we did things like he was a Cub Scout and the father
Mhm.
was like, a Cub master. So he had that level of interaction with him, but he passed before, he ever
Yeah,
got a
it
chance to
was
have
cut off on them. Yeah.
those conversations with him.
Yeah.
Um, but his mother, what he saw is she was fiercely independent and she took care of them and she made things happen.
Mm.
And he's like, you could just see it on his face. He's like, I just have so much admiration for her.
Mhm.
And while she may have struggled, so what this segues back into the fact that a lot of men are saying, well, my mama did it, so why can't you do it? That 50-50 thing where the woman takes care, it's more like 25-75, where the woman take
Mhm.
care of all of the household stuff and she goes to work. See, men are used to seeing that, and that struggle love. Nobody wants that. And while this
That
man saw his
your
mother
mama did it because she had to.
had to,
If
not
the
because
man
that was the
wasn't
way it had
there
to be.
or he left or he passed away, she did it because he have to.
She did it
She had
because
to.
she had to.
Right.
And because he's older than both of us. So while he saw that as admiration of her strength, she's 94 years old. She's still alive and she lives by herself and she's doing all the basic things for herself. He saw it
Mhm.
as admiration. A lot of men use that excuse to not show up.
So let me take that point because when I first started in the dating, and I'm glad I've learned a lot now that I'm older, um, because and I know you and I have talked about this before also. My real father didn't teach me anything. Best advice he ever gave me uh, was when I left for college. That was the best advice he just told me what type of females to look out for because I played basketball. Right. He said these women gonna be coming after you because they see you as a potential money maker. Right. And here I am, 6'9", at that time, maybe 235 pounds. I was still
Slim,
somewhat
slim, slim, slim.
I was skinny. I was still somewhat skinny. Um, but I never had a problem with women coming at me, but I had to be careful. Even in college, I'm 19, 20, 21 years old, and there's 30, 40-year-old women coming after me in college. So the best advice he gave me is what to watch out for. But he really didn't teach me how to be a man. And my stepfather didn't teach me how to be a man. And my mother